to a new video. So I'm coming to you with a very cozy pajama type video because unfortunately a lot of the times the only time I have to film is literally the middle of the night. It's currently 3:40 a.m. But I wanted to be able to do this before I am out of town. Don't mind the dog making noise. But I wanted to do my one take wrap up for May and June. I feel like I'm on the up and up when it comes to reading. The only thing getting in my way this time is not so much a reading slump, more as life. So mostly work. Anyway, let's dive right into it because I have quite a lot. I'll count them when I'm done, but I will say I've read quite a lot of the Vampire Knitting Club series. That's my first one. Also, if you haven't seen one of my one take wrap-ups, by the way, what I do is I wrap up what I read in the month or in 2 months, and I don't edit the video because I hate editing. Anyway, you can come sit down, love bug. My dog is here. I don't know, she's kind of out of frame, but she's mad I woke her up. Anyway, Pearls and Potions by Nancy Warren. I finished that book in May. That is the 5th book in the Vampire Knitting Club. I'm not going to go over each plot of all of these because I've read like 10 of them and I don't really need to synopsize, if that's a word, or I might have just made it up, the mystery in all of them. So but the 5th one, lots of fun. I read Fair Isles and Fortune, which is the 6th book. I've been listening to all of these. I adore this series. All I have is the last one left and I want to read it, but I'm also like, I want to savor it. So I haven't read the last one yet, but so I read 5 and 6, and then I just read these books in May. I also finished Mockingjay. I uploaded a rereading the Hunger Games vlog on my channel a couple months ago. I did really enjoy it. I kind of fell out of being in the mood for the Hunger Games while making that video, but I mean, I'll always love the Hunger Games, so it was really fun to reread it. 5 stars, obviously. All of the Vampire Knitting Club is 5 stars, I believe. Lace and Lies was number 7. Baubles and Broomsticks is number 8. Cat Paws and Curses is a Christmas novella. That was a lot of fun. Popcorn and Poltergeist is number 9. Garters and Gargoyles is number 10. Garters and Gargoyles was a lot of fun, maybe one of my favorites. Which other one did I really like? I really did like Fair Isle and Fortunes. That was a fun one. They're all just so much fun. I will say, you kind of have to really get used to the world, but once you do and are familiar with the cast of characters, they're just such a fun read. My dog does not know how to be quiet, I'm sorry. But I just really liked the interaction between all the different vampires, all the different personalities we have within that, just because they're all different and they're all from different eras, which is really fun. And then I really do love the main character and her coming into her own as a witch herself, so it's just a lot of fun. And I just love the knitting shop. It's just so much fun. I don't knit, I crochet, but it's just so much fun. And just the idea of living in Oxford and owning a little knitting shop and just that nice little life, it just sounds so lovely. I mean, she has to deal with a lot of murders and she's a witch and is friends with exclusively vampires, but that'd be okay too. So anyway, next, and I think we are now kind of moving into June. That last Nancy Warren book was probably finished in June. So as you can see, in May was probably one of my lowest reading months. That's why I didn't do a vlog or a one take wrap up. And it's because I only listened to the Nancy Warren audiobooks and finished in Mockingjay, which was really only the last 100 pages. I finished at the beginning of May, so that's why I didn't do a one take wrap up and was just gonna lump it into June. Anyway, so now that we are in June, I read Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen Sitting in a Tree, kind of a tongue twister, by Brian Michael Bendis. He's one of the biggest Marvel comic writers. Sometimes I love him, sometimes I love him less, but overall, this was a really fun little kind of one-shot. It picks up not too long after, not the end of Miles' story, but where I had last left off anyway. And Miles is trying to rescue his dad, and he kind of enlists the help of Gwen, and they come up with a plan, if you can call it that. And it's just them kind of jumping into different dimensions, trying to figure out what happened to Miles' dad. And it was just fun seeing all the different dimensions. I read this the night after I saw the Spider-Verse movie, so I was just very much in a Spider-Man mood. I still am. So I would like to read more Miles comics, and just kind of catch up on the rest of his world. I've read most of them. I've read all of the origin stuff, but to just catch up on some of the crossovers and stuff would be fun. And I really like Spider-Gwen as well. I've read a lot of her comics, most of her origin stuff, and so I'm just really having a fun time with them. Next, more Vampire Knitting Club. I read books 11 and 12. That is Diamonds and Daggers and Herringbone and Hexes. Now, 11, 12, and 13 are definitely my favorite. I do think 14 will probably beat that. But these, like, later half of the series, the like romance aspect of the books is picking up, and it's so sweet, and I just love it so much, and they're so adorable. And so I was just having a lot of fun. Not to mention the mystery is just like really good at this point in the series. Diamonds and Daggers was like really had me on the edge of my seat, and I'm just really bad at guessing who the killer is 99.9% of the time, so this is no exception. So I'm always really having fun, like, witnessing all the like twists and turns, because I'm never guessing what's gonna happen. Again, Herringbones and Hexes, really enjoyed. That one had quite a lot of funny scenes, in the way that like the vampires and the witches have just accepted all of this stuff goes down around them, and how they like problem solve. Like, there was at one point a dead body, and the main character, who is a witch, she's like, well, are you guys gonna take care of this? Should I call the cops? Or I feel like we should just handle this. Like, there's no reason to get the cops involved. You guys are vampires. I'm sure you know how to dispose of a body. And they're like, no, we got it. You go home. And it was just hilarious to me, and I love it. Next, I read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This was actually a reread. I read this for the first time in college in, I don't know, 2018-ish. I'm not sure, maybe 2017, I don't know. I did really enjoy it the first time I read it. I didn't like move on to the rest of the series or anything. And I went into this not remembering a single thing that happened in the plot of this book. So I actually had a lot of fun rereading it, because I didn't remember anything. I will say it does use some tropes that are not my favorite, and I won't say what they are because they're a spoiler. And I love a love triangle. That's not the issue. That was fun. I had fun with like the love triangle, but there's just some like tropes towards the end that I'm like, kind of boring, but also very 2014, so it kind of just makes sense. But overall, I had fun. I read this for a book club, and we actually are just continuing on with the series and moving on to Glass Sword, which I'm supposed to be caught up with, and I'm not. So anyway, I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars, because why not? Then I read Blood Moon by Gillian Graves. This is a witch vampire romance novella. I wanted to love this. I didn't hate it. It was a fun read. It took me like an hour to read, but it just didn't have the chemistry that I wanted it to have, and it also used a trope that I'm not a fan of. What are you doing back there, Left Bug? But it used a trope that I'm not the biggest fan of, and it's that like instant lust, insta love. I can, like, if it's written right, I can get behind that, but instant lust, where like before the characters have even had a conversation, it's just only about their physical attraction, I just get bored. Like, I think it's more entertaining to like build up in a relationship in a book, and these characters did not have that. They had some fun banter. I liked the situation that was kind of keeping them apart. They had rival businesses, so that was like the middle and the end part of the book I did enjoy. It was just kind of the beginning that I'm like, well, now I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to believe these characters are kind of like gonna backtrack and hate each other and then like learn to love each other again. But I mean, it was fun. It just wasn't perfect for me. But it did have some really fun tropes at the same time, like just the witch vampire stuff was a lot of fun. And it was definitely very, very spicy, which wasn't necessarily what I was in the mood to read. But overall, I would try another book by this author, but this one just like, I would like to see, like, if she writes a full-length novel, that would be interesting to read, to see when she has more time to like build up a relationship and her characters. And then next I read Ribbing and Runes by Nancy Warren, the 13th book in the Vampire Knitting Club series. I told you that's literally all I've read this summer, and I'm okay with that. I'm like so in love with this series. But I know I've said the last couple are like my favorite, but I truly think the 13th book in this series is definitely my favorite, until it is probably dethroned by the 14th book. This book had so much just amazing stuff going on, character development and setting up things for the future and what could be like implied to happen after the end of the series, that I'm really, really, really interested to see how that goes down. I just also am kind of afraid to read the last book, because then it'll be over and I don't know what I'll do and I'll have to pick a new cozy mystery series. And then it just overall was really cute. I loved the ending. It had a wedding happen and it was just the absolute sweetest and I loved it so much. Anyway, next I read Live and Let Shy by Bree Baker. This was my like little attempt into jumping into a different cozy mystery series to try and get into one, so I'm not like left with like this gaping hole in my heart after I finish the Vampire Knitting Club series. So I do like this one. It is not a paranormal cozy mystery, because I didn't want to like get confused too much about like the similarities and plots or anything while still reading the other one, and I kind of just wanted to switch it up a little bit. So this one, I do like it so far. I do really like it, and I like the main character, and I got this off of a list of like cozy mysteries for romance readers, so it has like a romantic element at some point in the series, but this is about a girl who moves back home to like this small island off of the Carolinas, and opens a sweet tea shop, which when I first was reading like the summaries, I assumed it'd be like a hot tea shop, like a cute little like English tea shop, but it's sweet tea, which I should have guessed considering it takes place in the South. And murder ensues, and so it's lots of fun, and she takes it upon herself to try and solve this murder, because the new detective that just moved to town, who is an outsider, implies that her tea played a part in the victim's death, and she's like, are you trying to ruin my business? Like, what's going on? And so she takes it upon herself to try and solve the crime, and meddle in his investigation, and he is annoyed by that, but also very enamored with her. So it's lots of fun. I am currently reading the second one. It's not as good as the Vampire Knitting Club, but I still am really enjoying it, and I will be interested to keep moving on in the series. Next, I read a graphic novel, Avatar: The High Ground Volume 1 by Sherry L. Smith. This is a graphic novel series. There's 3 volumes. I've only read the first one so far, but it is kind of taking place in the in-between of the first Avatar and Way of Water. More towards like setting up Way of Water, and especially if you've seen the second Avatar movie, there's like, they kind of fast forward you through the last 15 years, what happened. Neytiri and Jake have their kids, blah blah blah, and then they show the humans coming back to Pandora, and then there's like a 1-year time leap in the movie. So this graphic novel series is filling in that time before. As the kids are born, they kind of flash back through that, and then before the humans get there, and then the end of volume 1 is the humans arriving, and then volumes 2 and 3 will be bits and pieces of that year that the movie skips over. And originally, from what I understand, this was a script that James Cameron had written. Then it ended up being that the movie does take place a little bit later, because I think the series as a whole is kind of shifting. We're going to follow the kids, not so much Neytiri and Jake throughout the whole thing, but really follow like Loak and Kiri and everyone. So I'm a very big Avatar fan. I'm currently wearing an Avatar shirt, so I had a lot of fun with this. I always love a graphic novel. There were like some art pieces in this that I would literally frame. I loved them so much. It was a little hard to tell which character was which, because I have such a clear image of them in my head in like their movie form, but like the artists like applied their style to the drawing, so I had a hard time mostly between Neteyam and Loak. They were kind of hard to tell apart, but like contextually you just figured it out, and also sometimes it just didn't matter. But overall I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to read volumes 2 and 3. So lastly, on my books, and you know, all this reading, and I'm still 5 books behind my Goodreads schedule. This is ridiculous. But I read Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. This is the sequel to Renegades. And I picked this up just because I was in a superhero mood between Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, just really feeling in a superhero mood. And this book destroyed me, and now I'm currently reading Supernova, and this one's, I know, just gonna break my heart. At first I was like, do I want to pick up this really long book? Because like I feel like I kind of had a groove going with reading, mostly audiobooks, but like I didn't want to like fall back into a reading slump. But then I read this book like really fast for me, considering how slow I've been reading lately, so I just couldn't put it down. I also was reading the ebooks, which I think has made a difference, but it was just so good. I love these characters. There's some that I don't love, but like especially Nova and Adrian, I just adore those two as characters. I will say, all of these characters though, they lie to each other a lot. How much easier would it be if they just sat down and had a conversation? But then where'd all the drama go? So overall, loving this book, or loving this series, and I can't wait to finish it. That's my plans for after I'm done filming this. So I had, goodness, where did I start? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 books in between May and June. Like 90% of those are audiobooks, but that is okay. And I am hoping this means I'm kind of on the upside of this reading slump, and I can continue to find more time to read. I will say, I think it would just be better if I didn't work and I could just stay at home and read and live my life. But I guess that's not how it works. I'm not really sure why. But overall, I had a good reading month. I'm feeling good about it. I'm liking the books I'm reading right now. So I think I just need to continue to choose books that I know, or that I truly think I'm going to enjoy, and not choose books because I think that's what I should be reading, if that makes sense. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I upload BookTube and Disney content whenever I get the chance to. So come back if you want to check some of that out. I will see you guys next time. Bye!